Hi everyone, this is Miss P, and today we're going to practice subtracting fractions. Let's start subtracting fractions with the example of 3/4 minus 2/3. This problem includes two fractions that have unlike denominators. This means that the denominator of the first fraction, 4, and the denominator of the second fraction, 3, are different from each other, or unlike each other. That means that we can't do a simple subtraction with these two fractions because each fraction is representing something different. The first fraction is representing how many out of 4 equal parts, and the second fraction is representing how many out of 3 equal parts. Because of this, with this problem, and any time you have a subtraction of fractions problem with unlike denominators, we have to find the least common multiple between the two denominators. The easiest way to do this is to list the denominators off to the side of your problem like this, 4 and 3, and then list out the multiples of each of those numbers until you find the least common multiple. Let's find the multiples of 4 first. 4, 8, 12, 16. Let's stop there and find the multiples of 3. 3, 6, 9, 12. You might have noticed that we have found the least common multiple of 12. Both 4 and 3 share a common multiple of 12. Now that we know this, what we can do is we can take each of the fractions in the problem and convert them to twelfths. Once our problem is represented as having common denominators, we can subtract. Let's start with 3/4. We have to convert 3/4 to a fraction represented in twelfths. We have to determine what we have to do to 4 to make it 12. 4 times 1, 2, 3 equals 12. So we have to multiply 4 times 3 in order to get 12. Now we have to do the same thing to the numerator as we did to the denominator. We multiplied 4 times 3, so we're going to multiply 3 times 3, and that equals 9. Now we know that 9/12 is the equivalent fraction to 3/4 represented in twelfths. Let's do the same thing with 2/3. 2/3 as represented in twelfths. What do we need to do to our denominator of 3 in order to convert it to 12? Well, 3 times 1, 2, 3, 4 equals 12. 3 times 4 equals 12. And remember, you always have to do the same thing to the numerator as you did to the denominator. So we're also going to multiply the numerator of 2 times 4, and that gives us 8. So now we know the equivalent fraction of 2/3 as represented in twelfths is 8/12. Next, we can rewrite our problem of 3/4 minus 2/3 using the equivalent fractions as represented in twelfths. So 9/12 minus 8/12. You see, this problem has the same value as our original problem. It just now represents the use of a common denominator of 12. Just like we did when we added fractions, in order to subtract these two fractions, we first just have to carry over that same denominator. Once you have common denominators in your subtraction problem and you've represented the same denominator in both parts of your subtraction problem, you can simply carry that same number, that same denominator over to your answer. We're representing how many out of 12 equal parts are subtracted. And so our answer is going to be represented in a certain number out of 12 equal parts. Now that we've carried over the denominator of 12, we simply have to subtract across the numerators. 9 minus 8 equals 1. Our answer is 1/12. We can take this and apply it up to our original question here, our original problem. 3/4 minus 2/3 is equal to 1/12.